Because whether you like them, woo, or you don't, they are the best thing, woo, in the football world today. Woo!
Welcome to Booty Picks, the college football gambling guide where all the picks are ass. My name is Doug Dickey, former 58, 43, and 2 Florida Gators head coach, here to guide this show as our two guys whose namesakes tarnish the Florida Gators brand, Mac Murphy, named after Tyler Murphy and Jim McElwain, and Champ Brantley Jr., named after Will Muschamp and John Brantley Jr., that terrible, terrible quarterback that gave us hope in that Alabama game so many years ago on the first play and then zapped it straight out of our hearts. Anyway, those guys are named for those tarnished Florida Gators brands, but they're here to make their booty picks. Week 0 warm-ups last week did not go so well for the boys. I'm pretty sure they were wrong on just about everything. That's okay. It was Florida State and Duquesne. Who gives a damn?
They didn't cover. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah, we hate them. They suck. But just like the boys of old Florida, they're going to pick in all kinds of weather. Here's hoping their accounts fare better this week in week 1. How do you guys feel about the slate?
New year, new me, ready to – last year's a thing of the past, 35% hit percentage. Be damned. It's a new year. Why not this year? Why can't this year be my best year ever? That's
hot.
Yeah. I've never felt hotter because week 0 doesn't matter. We can those games don't matter. I even though I was 0-3, there was only so many to pick from. This week, I've got way more feel like I had to pick those games last week. This week, I can pick and choose. I can be kind of,
You've crunched some numbers. You've got the research. You got the data.
Yeah.
All those things to make your informed decision. I got you. How about you, Champ? How you feeling?
New year, same love for the board. This is going to be a fun week 1. As Mac said that week 0 is basically the gambler's preseason, so it doesn't count. I expect to get my money back for all those bets, but and more this week. So. Yeah, pretty excited. We got a full slate. We have football literally from Thursday until I think Tuesday, right? Isn't there a Tuesday game?
No, it's not Maction yet.
Okay. Well, God, I can't wait.
Don't tease me.
No, we got a Monday game as well. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, narrator's going to break the fourth wall here. It's not going to be fun for them. All right, as we go, we're going to start with the Thursday game. As Champ said, the first game up at 7 p.m. is the return of the Backyard Brawl. We've got unranked West Virginia at number 17 Pitt without Kenny Pickett. Pitt is giving 7.5 points. The over-under for this one is 51. We're going to start with the Kenny Pickett Stand Club president, Champ Brantley Jr. How do you feel about this one?
Well, quite frankly, Pitt, people are high on Pitt. They really like him. I don't know that Pitt is going to be as good as they were last year. They lost their OC. He's currently, I think he's at
Nebraska.
Nebraska, yeah. Let's see, West Virginia though. I mean, they don't have a lot of shit going on either. I don't know. Let's see. I think I like West Virginia in this one. I think they're going to show up and cover. I don't think they're going to win, but yeah, I'm taking West Virginia and the points, 7.5.
All right.
So what I do first is I always go to the charts. I go to the helmet schedule, and I thought I picked West Virginia to win this game outright, but I was wrong. If you'll see somewhere on there, Pitt is there with a W over West Virginia. I can't remember how close I thought that game would be with the time whenever I picked this. It's 7.5. It is at Pitt. 7.5 is a screwy line. I will tell you that is a better because, that falls between they could lose by 7 or 10 and you're fucked. Like you essentially they have to win by 10 is the way to think of it because most of the time that's going to be the way the points shake out. So 7.5 is never a fun betting line. If it was 6.5, different story. I think I'm going to lean just because of it being a rivalry. Pitt's first game without Kenny Pickett. West Virginia has JT Daniels, still unproven, but he is talented. He lit it up before he got hurt at USC. He was pretty good. I like West Virginia to cover but lose outright. Over under 51. I also I kind of like the under in this one because I think both teams don't really know. Which picking under with West Virginia is always it's a risk. But this is not Pat White's West Virginia. Let's not get sidetracked, or Will Greer West Virginia, former Gator Willie Greer. I'm not gonna pick over under on this. Actually, I'm just gonna go West Virginia 7 plus 7.5, just because I think that means Pitt has to win by 10 essentially in football scores the way they work out, and I don't know if they can do that
or 9, but
or 8. But yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned that who's their quarterback? JT. You mentioned JT Daniels, and he's the new OC over there is actually Graham Harrell from Texas Tech, and Graham Harrell was the QB's coach at USC when JT Daniels was originally there. One of
with
three schools he's been there.
Cliff Kingsbury was Cliff Kingsbury was like the OC at USC for like a day and then got the after he got fired from Texas Tech and then got the job or something at Arizona Cardinals. I think it went to Cliff Kingsbury and then he left and then Graham Harrell stepped in.
Wait, Kingsbury was the OC at West Virginia? No,
at USC. But he never coached a game because let's see, because he went to the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, USC Trojans. Yeah. Kingsbury was hired in December of 2018, and then he took the job in January of 2019 to be the Arizona Cardinals head coach, and then Graham Harrell took over. So, fun stat. Yeah, and that makes me glad I did not take the under in that. I'm still not going to pick the over, but I didn't know that. I didn't know Graham Harrell was there.
It could be an over game, but I don't know if I would bet it. And I don't know. I like West Virginia to make a little noise. They've kind of stunk the last few years, but it's only like a 70-mile kind of trip for them. So I think it'll be a fun game. And I'm glad the Backyard Brawl's back. They haven't done it since, I don't know if it was 2014 or 2011. I don't remember.
2011.
Okay.
So there you have it. That's some expert analysis and a little bit of historical background on these two teams. They're going to gear up for their 105th meeting in school history on Thursday night at 7. 1 hour after that kickoff, Penn State at Purdue. Penn State only giving 4, but somebody told me that everybody wanted to hire James Franklin after last year. Don't understand that bullshit. A bunch of liars out there and a bunch of agents just working to, he was like in the top 5 of some weirdo's list. Pass. Who knows? Agents put these names out there. They're all scam artists. It's how Dan Mullen got a cool $12 million check to go and screw off at ESPN. Anyhow, again, Penn State at Purdue. Penn State giving 4 to lowly old Purdue Boilermakers. The over-under 53.5 will flip-flop here. Mac, you take this one first.
You know, the charts. I got to go with my picks. So I look at this. I have Penn State. I predicted them to go 6-6 and be one of the most disappointing teams in the season, I think James Franklin will get fired this year. Put me on the record for that. Or start next season off. Like, he'll get fired before November of next year if he's not fired at the end of this year. That's one or the other is going to happen. I have Penn State losing, and I have Purdue winning outright. So I would take Purdue.
Right.
Purdue +4. They're at home. I don't care that they're 0-9 against the Nittany Lions since 2004. This is going to be a very disappointing Penn State team. I could be wrong. I've been wrong way more times than I've been right. But much how the analytics play into this, and there's a chart for every what play we're going to run on 3rd and 3 on the right hash at the 42-yard line. There's a chart and it says, all right, or 4th and 1, we have a 70% chance of getting it. We're going for it. Don't care if we have the ball on our own 11-yard line. We're going for it. The charts I have say Purdue is going to win outright. So that's the pick.
All right, Champ, how do you feel about that one? You look a little bit stunned here.
Yeah, I am a little bit this is just kind of like one of those tough games, Big Ten Thursday night. Like, it just doesn't feel right. And Penn State is one of the weakest. I don't know. They were good like not long ago, so I don't understand what really happened. They've went 11-11 in their last 22 games, and they went 2-6 at the end of last year. So, I mean, I don't really know what the problem is up there. We've always regarded James Franklin as kind of a rah-rah guy, and that kind of shit only works when you have and can keep momentum. And I don't know. They're walking into Purdue, which is never an easy place to play, and they're favored, which I don't like at all. So I would lean Purdue with the points, but I think that the under is going to hit 53.5. I don't think either of these teams are going to score. I think Penn State, they're returning their QB from last year, but he was nothing really to. I mean, he wasn't fantastic. And Purdue is returning another. I think we have 2 super seniors at quarterback this year, so in this game. So I think that, but I think that the under is going to hit. Neither one of these guys is a scoring machine. So under 53.5.
I will also add on this. I think it's going to go over 53.5. I think it's going to be a lot of points scored. I wouldn't be surprised. Purdue scored. What did they average last season? We have it down here on the. They
Purdue was
averaged 29 points, but they got into a big shootout with Tennessee. Tennessee's defense was trash, but I don't think Penn State's defense is going to be that good either. And 53.5 with it's one thing if we had quarterbacks that didn't have experience, I'd say they might get rattled. I don't think either of these quarterbacks are going to get rattled, and I don't think either of these offenses need time to adapt. They don't have a new coach. They don't have a new personnel. They're not, they're seasoned guys. So I think we're gonna see some points in this game. So I'll go over 53.5. I'll double on. I'm going to double on this one.
We're going opposite directions on the highway here, but if I had to put my take in, Purdue's always good for like one win over a team that should be better than them, and I think that you guys are correct about Purdue doing something spectacular. Moving on to Friday night, I can't talk as much shit about teams that play on Friday night anymore. Thank you, Florida State, for ruining that.
Fucking assholes.
Well, that's an ACC-controlled game because it's played at home, so that was their choice. No indictment on the Florida Gators.
Unfortunately, it does still matter that
they're dragging us down to their level. It's fucking.
Yes.
I hate it. But anyway, some teams unfortunately do play on Friday nights. Most of them are high schools. This game, 8 p.m. on September 2nd, will be the Illinois Fighting Illini at the Indiana Hoosiers. Illinois +3 on this one. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah. Illinois +3. Indiana giving the points here. Over under is 46. Champ, you take this one.
Yeah, so this one it does scream under. However, Illinois might be a low key a wagon. I don't know. They played great last week. They beat Wyoming. I don't know. It was like
38 to
38 to
6.
6. Yeah, and I mean, there's no reason why you would take the under after they came out like that because Indiana's Indiana's defense sucked last year. Actually, the whole Indiana team sucked last year. They couldn't score and they couldn't stop anybody. So, yeah, I'm riding the Burt train. I like Burt ball is getting 3, so I'm taking each and every single one of them. Illinois +3. That's the pick.
Mac, go ahead.
So I'm not gonna put any actual money on this game because I don't. The I teams in the Big Ten always are risky plays. Iowa is good to upset someone that they shouldn't, and they're also good to be like, oh shit, this might be the year Iowa doesn't go 8-4 or 9-3 and wins 11 or 12 games, and then they lose to Indiana or Illinois. That's just kind of how these teams go. And then you think you got a good read on last year. Thought I had a good read on Illinois because they beat Nebraska because I was like, oh, Nebraska's not going to be bad. Well, I was wrong. Yeah. And this year, same thing. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So Nebraska is dead to me, and therefore dead. Yeah, they're dead. Even though I know we're not on Nebraska, but it ties into my somehow ties in to I'm not going to trust Illinois either because I trusted Illinois last year and for beating Nebraska and was proved wrong. Now, granted, they went 5-7. I think they exceeded expectations.
Pretty good.
But I'm not going to trust them or Indiana. I would say if you're going to do anything, maybe play with the under. Just because, but actually, I can't even say that Illinois looked like they could score some points, and Indiana couldn't stop it.
And Indiana's giving points. Indiana's the favorite.
I know,
and I don't have Michael Penix. They don't have anybody
on the chart. I have Indiana winning the game. Right up there.
See, I don't know if that's how much longer? How much longer in the season are you going to trust your chart?
I have to trust it at least into week 1. I can't abandon ship before the games have played. That
bet is made we've already had week 0 in it.
Yeah, I guess.
I might ride this bitch out till the end of the season. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure you got every game right. At least money line.
I have both Illinois and Indiana going 4-8. So Illinois got a tough schedule if you look at it. They've got Michigan out of the north or east, and who else? I guess that's it, really. But yeah, I don't know. I fucking put me down for Illinois or Indiana -3 because I have them winning on the chart. But this is not. No money is on this game. Like my money is not on this game. This is just a pick for being a pick.
Okay.
All right, moving right along, we come into the noon o'clock games on Saturday, September 3rd. At about where are the ribs at this weekend at noon? Where will we be at with that? Ready to eat, or are we a couple hours away?
No, the ribs will probably be around. They'll be off at halftime of the noon games probably, and we'll be sitting in the cooler getting their hour of just rest, and then we'll probably eat them at the fourth quarter of the noon games or maybe the start of the 3:30, 3 o'clock games.
So we're still in the chips and dips portion of the spread at noon on Saturday, and while we're eating our chips and our dips, we've got UNC favored by 1.5 points over Appalachian State, with the over-under being 56 points. Sort of feels like Appalachian State is due to beat to have one of those like shocker games, unless they've had one and I just don't remember it recently. Anyhow, go ahead, champ.
Yeah, I don't think App State's really. Well, they're D1 now, so I mean they're not really shocking anymore. And I mean, since they had that, I think they're. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest moments in the history of the program was when they went up to the Big House and beat Michigan. But since then, they've won multiple national championships. They're a good ball team. Um, you said they're dogs by 1.5. And the over under is 56. I don't know, man. This is tough to say because I think UNC, well, they sucked ass last year, and they played FAMU week one, a depleted FAMU, who I think traveled without, I want to say like
It was something
20
like
or
26
50
players.
players. Yeah, 26 players. A lot of them, I think, were actual starters, and UNC gave up a bunch of yards to them. It wasn't like a clowning like it probably should have been versus FAMU. So I mean, they give me pause, especially their defense last year. The UNC defense was fucking awful. And then when you look at App State last year, I think they went 10-4. Two of those four were against Billy Napier at Louisiana. One in the championship and one during the regular season. But they're pretty good. So I would take the points again, and I'm going App State. I like the Mountaineers, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm taking the Mountaineers. I like them to shake it up out in Appalachia.
All right, go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, so I look at this. It's a tough read. It's at App State. It is. We have a team that played last week. I know Champ just said they didn't look great or they didn't put a whooping on them. They did cover though. They covered the spread last week. And you'd be foolish to think that Vegas didn't take into consideration FAMU not bringing a whole
Yeah, the line was all
busload.
fucked up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they covered it, and I'm sure it jumped. They were probably a 20 some odd point favorite, and it probably jumped to 27 ish, and they won 54-26. They covered by, the line had to at least, wasn't more than 28 points. They covered. They have a game under their belt. I think that's going to be crucial here. App State does return their starting quarterback from last year. And UNC is losing their quarterback from last year. However, I think the real play is the over in this game. I think that's going to be the real play. That's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick over 56. I think UNC couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. And App State has a quarterback coming back. I think they'll be able to score some points. And their defense lost a ton of talent, a ton of guys. So I think you'll see some points scored here. And UNC, even if you look at their schedule last year, they scored. Let me pull it up. I think they scored. They had some games where they scored some points. If I remember correctly, yeah, they scored 59 against Virginia, 59 against Georgia State, 38 against Duke, 45 against Miami, 34 against Notre Dame, 58 against Wake, 23, I'm sorry, against Pitt, 30 against NC State. So, granted, they are losing their quarterback. However, I think that program is built. They've proven they've been able to score some points the past few years. So I would go over 56.
Over 56, and UNC's got a pretty electric offense too.
Yep, and they scored. I mean, they proved they scored some points last week too.
True.
All right, next game up will be Rutgers at Boston College. Beth Moen on the call for ESPN.
Love
Boston
to see
College giving 7. The over-under will be 48 points on this one. Good God, what a boring football game that'll be. Whoever wants to take this slugfest of a game, you go.
I'll go first. Since I went second.
Consult the charts.
And shockingly enough, another one. I'm kind of high on Rutgers. They are stuck in a very tough division. But let's also not gloss over the fact that this is a old Big East matchup and rivalry. This is taking it back to the Mike Vick,
Wait,
Vatek.
BC was Big East.
Oh yeah, BC was Big East. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Don't.
I thought they were like that would be like Matt Ryan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because he was there, no, they were in the
Oh, they were
ACC.
ACC.
Let's see. They were.
I feel like they've always been the ACC.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, because
No, conference Big East, 1991 to 2004.
So very much a throwback then. Yeah.
Yes.
They were at the Big East before the Big East was ended.
They came over when Miami came over Miami, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and it was not Pitt. It was not Pitt yet. Pitt came when the Big East crumbled because that's when Louisville came. Louisville, Pitt, and Syracuse all came over when it kind of crumbled. So I go to my chart, and I don't know if the camera can see.
No one's gonna look either.
Right there, at the bottom somewhere, Boston. You see a W right there. That's Rutgers, a W over Boston College, and I think I like Rutgers. I love Greg Schiano. Boston College. I don't know who the fuck is their coach. It could be Steve Damadazio for all I give a fuck. But I like Rutgers. I think they're hard-nosed, tough. They're a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. They may not win outright. I have them as a win here, but covering 7 points against a Boston College team that I have no inkling of having any faith in them as to being a good team. What did they do last year? I think they were 6-6 in arguably the worst ACC conference we've had in recent memory. They started out hot 4-0. They beat a Missouri team, but then they just got trounced, or they played tough against Clemson, got trounced by NC State, lost at Louisville, at Syracuse. They lost to Florida fucking State, and they lost to Wake Forest last year.
Well, their QB got hurt in Game 6. Jerkovich. They're pretty high on him. I read an article that said Jerkovich could be the Kenny Pickett, a poor man's Kenny Pickett.
That's
my ears perked. My ears perked up for that one. It was, but yeah,
Greg Schiano's a lifetime 500 coach, and right now he's 5 games under 500. So this is going to be a step in the right direction to get him.
It's going to take him 10 years to get back to it.
So the charts tell me to pick Rutgers +7.
All right, Mr. Chartless Man, what do your no charts say?
Yeah, I'm raw dogging this season. I like I hate picking all these fucking unders. You know what? I'm not going to pick the fucking under. I want the over in this game, 48. I think Rutgers, they're going to suck, but Schiano comes back for his 21st year with the program, briefly interrupted by a stint with the Bucks. But yeah, I think Boston College, I think their quarterback has the potential to be pretty good. Schiano's starting to get things rolling again. Is he in year 3 or 4 with Rutgers again? 3? So yeah, I think that Schiano probably can amount. Oh, I'm doing the math in my head. It'd be like 21-28 would be the score. No, it's an under game. It's an under game. I talked myself out of it. No, they can't score 48. It's an under for sure. It's an under. As painful as it is for me to say that, yeah, they're not going to score any fucking points.
They're going to set football back 10 years.
Mac, who is the guy? Remember we were at your uncle's house and we saw that kicker, and it was like Rutgers played for the tie to go into overtime, and then they sent out that super Italian guy, and he missed the kick.
Sorry for the listeners at home.
It was Giovanni.
I'm pulling up their roster.
Ambrosio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ambrosio.
Um,
Tell me a
it,
more Italian name than that.
it was what's it? His first name? Like it rolled into his first name
It
too.
was Giovanni.
Was it?
I think so.
Hold on. We're gonna fact check this one. Um, he. Oh, sorry for that. If you heard that,
Valentino Ambrosio.
there it
Valentino
is.
Ambrosio, and he trotted his little ass out there, and I knew, I think I have I'm bad at picking games, but if I could pick if this kicker is about to make the field goal, if that was a bet, you could live bet it. This kid trotting out is going to make the field goal or not. I would probably be 75% on that.
Valentino Ambrosio.
Valentino Ambrosio trotted out there with his fucking green, red, and white cleats, and I knew immediately that he was gonna miss it. And they earned it because they were playing for overtime like bitches. But yeah, the under is the play for me.
All right, that concludes the noon o'clock games for this Saturday. The first 3:30 game, I also believe it's the first ranked matchup that we have on the sheet. We've got number 23 Cincinnati at number 19 Arkansas. Arkansas giving 6 points here with an over/under of 52 points. Go ahead, champ.
This one is exciting. This is one of the premier games this weekend. I don't know if that's obvious for everybody, but Arkansas, they're coming off. I can't even remember when Arkansas was this good. They seem to have found their guy with Sam Pittman. Cincy, they're replacing a lot of guys on defense. Obviously, in the secondary, they had Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant. Not that Kobe Bryant. Arkansas, they're returning KJ Jefferson, who ended up being pretty fucking electric last year for them. And friend of the program, Danny Walmart's going. And let me read his text that he sent me. I asked for the skinny on the game. He said, since he's going to be is going to match us blow for a while, I think the tide will break at what point, I don't know. They have really experienced front seven. Apparently, the analysts say that they have the best line in the SEC. Wait, that must be okay. Arkansas, some analysts are saying have the best line in the SEC. So I'm curious to see how the battle goes, but I say they load the box, force us deep, and get surprised when some of our transfers light them up. And they transferred another 5-star linebacker from Alabama, so he's curious if they can get pressure with that guy. Danny actually is going to be going to the game. Last game I think he went to was a Texas game last year, Arkansas versus Texas, and Arkansas blew them out. So in lieu of that, I'm going with Danny Walmart, the Pigs, -6. I think it could be. I would actually double dip. Yeah, I've been picking too many unders, so this one's going over 52. So I'm going Arkansas -6 over 52.
All right, Mac, how do you feel about the Hogs in this one? I know you had a
Yeah.
little spat with some Hog fans on Twitter a few years back. Maybe you can redeem yourself.
Grudge.
I forgot about that until you brought it up. I've never. Danny Walmart has softened my heart for Arkansas. He has done those bitch ass Woo Pig fans a service and has brought me back over.
You're a
I like
believer now.
I like their coach. I like Sam Pittman. He's a tough, hard nosed guy. I have Arkansas as a one of my surprise teams. I think, and it may not be much of a surprise. I mean, they start the season out ranked 19th, but I have them going 9-3, and they have a gauntlet of a schedule. Just alone in the West, they have A&M, Alabama, at Auburn, LSU. Ole Miss is going to be good. They have to play. Those are 5 teams that I wouldn't be surprised if any of those teams are ranked at any point in the season. I think Auburn sucks, but I think LSU could win the right games, and they always, if LSU starts off any season 4-0 and they play a relatively soft first 4 games, they would be ranked at, that's just how, like if Florida started off 4-0, and not even this season, of course, this season, but any season when Florida would start 4-0 with fucking Muschamp or McElwain or any Zook, they would always somehow pop up ranked, and then our hearts get ripped out in October. So they have a tough schedule. And then out of conference they have Cincinnati and BYU. Those are not easy games, and I have them winning against Cincinnati. I think they'll cover because they return their quarterback. Cincinnati's gonna have to figure it out without. When was Desmond Ridder taken, in the second round or first round by Atlanta? They're losing him. I usually default to the team that returns their guy, and KJ Jefferson. They put up some points last year, and they could score. So I'm going to lean.
Like one of the most interesting athletes. I mean, he's got a body like Charles Barkley. He's kind of like a rumbling, bumbling, he's a unit.
He reminds me of the Kentucky quarterback back in 2007. What was his name? Doug. What was that motherfucker's
Andre
name?
Woodson.
Andre Woodson. He reminds me of Andre Woodson. Andre Woodson was kind of like that, like a little chonk, thick, not quite as chonk as the may he rest in peace. Yeah, not quite that chonk. But yeah, if you do a side by side of Andre Woodson, and he was,
I thought Andre Woodson was kind of small, wasn't he?
No, he's 6'4".
He's a pretty big dude.
Yeah, he may not have been as tall, but he was 6'4", 230 is what they have him listed at. And KJ
had
Jefferson,
that electric overtime win against LSU.
Yeah,
yeah.
Rich Brooks was the head coach.
Yeah, and KJ Jefferson 6'3", 240. They kind of play the same style. They're not like super refined passers. They're athletic, and
I bet KJ's more like 250, but he's just like, that's the slim stat for him.
So I'm going to go with Arkansas -6. I'm not going to touch the over under because Cincinnati even though they lost a lot, their head coach just had a brain fart. Fickle. I think he's a defensive guy, right? Wasn't he, or is he offensive line guy?
I think he's a defensive guy.
They've had some pretty good defenses the last few years, and usually when you have a good defensive coach, your defense doesn't take a step back even when you lose a lot. They might have a few rough spots, but it's not confident. I'm not confident enough to say this will go over 52. I could definitely see this being like a 30 to 20 game, or somewhere around there, 30 to 21 or 28-24 ish. But I have Arkansas covering.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Just if you're still with us at 40 minutes into the show, we're always going to get to the point. We're going to take a few detours. We're going to talk about some other things, kind of spin around and spiral a little bit, but we're always going to get to the point. So bear with us here. We're going to keep on moving. The next 3:30 game, number 24, Houston at, I believe this is the University of Texas, San Antonio.
Correct.
With Houston, a ranked team, only giving 4.5 points. The over-under is 62, and I think I know specifically why this game is on the slate. Do not pick against Houston this season, and I'll let the boys explain why. Just take my advice. Don't pick against Houston. Go ahead, champ.
Yeah, so, the reason that the spread is so low, and UTSA is obviously not a perennial program. They're not even a real threat out of the G5 normally. But last year they went 12-2, but they lost their OC. They had one of the best offenses in the country last year. For those of you who didn't see them, that's why the over is so high. They went 12-2, like I said. They lost their OC to Illinois. That's why Illinois balled out last week, and why they're also going to cover this weekend. But the key thing in this game is that Houston's mascot, the beloved Shasta, has recently passed away. And I just think we should have a moment for Shasta. Houston's going to fuck them up. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath. Vengeance for Shasta, obviously.
All right, now that we know not to pick against Houston for the rest of the season, Mac, where are you at with this one? What do your charts say?
I don't pick Power Five or Group of Five win losses. So this is where the real fun begins because I don't have a chart to guide me, but I do have a death of a mascot to guide me. And as Champ stated, this is a 4.5, minus 4.5. Take Houston all day, every day. Go refinance your house. Take that cash out, put it on Houston, and then pay your house off. And then next week, double back down on Houston again. I don't even know who they play, but double down on them. But yeah, that's the pick. And for fun, over 62, it's a lot of points. The Texas schools, they know how to score points, baby. Let them score over 62. Just maybe double dip on this one a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, this is in the Alamo Dome, which is that's a fast field.
Yep. A lot of points. A lot of points.
All right, moving right along. Next 3:30. I believe this is at 3:30, right? Let me check really quick.
Yeah,
3:30. Number 11 Oregon at number 3 Georgia in the Peach Bowl. This is at the Mercedes-Benz Arena, whatever they call it there in Atlanta.
The stadium. They call it a stadium.
And Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It's a really funky looking building, and I think it's kind of ugly. Also, the Falcons suck, but that's for a different podcast. Georgia giving 17.5, the over under 53 points. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, this one's kind of tough because
it's kind of incestuous.
I don't.
Oh yeah, just a quick note here. I believe that Dan Lanning he was at Georgia last season. He was the defensive coordinator, was he not?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a connection here. It's going to be a little bit of tension on the field.
So I think you look at the losses that Oregon had, and against Utah twice they scored a combined 17 points. What else? They lost to a couple others. They lost Stanford. They scored 24, and then Oklahoma, which I'm not going to count the bowl game. So their 3 losses, they scored a combined 24, 17, 41 points. I think, and those defenses were, even though I know Georgia lost a lot, those defenses are nothing compared to what they're going to see this year. Or with this Georgia team. So I'm going to say under 53. I think Georgia could win this game 41 to 10. I think Georgia, but Georgia is usually conservative. I think once Georgia is up, 28 to 3, you're going to see like kind of how they played against Notre Dame in the is that who they played in the college football playoff last year?
Michigan.
I'm sorry. It was kind of like that. Like they just never, they were convincing, but they kind of got comfortable and played it safe as the game went along. So I think you could see this at halftime being 28-3 and final score being 35-10. So that's my pick. I'm going to go under. 17.5 is just too high for me to comfortably take with especially 2 Power 5 teams of this caliber.
I mean, you missed out on the main factor in this game. Well, I mean, we have a lot of, crossover in this game, which is what makes it really interesting. Dan Lanning, but the key is the quote, one of the best athletes I've ever seen a quarterback. That's a Kirby Smart quote. And he's talking about Oregon's brand spanking new quarterback, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, the fucking worst football player probably that I've ever seen. I mean, the guy is a walking butt fumble.
In fairness to Kirby Smart, he is watching Stetson Bennett, the 7th, play football every week. So
that's true.
He doesn't have a whole lot of experience with good quarterbacks.
Yeah, athletic quarterbacks. No, I love UGA in this spot. I think that they're gonna kill these guys. I think that with Bo Nix back there, you might have 2 or 3 defensive touchdowns. I think he sucks. I mean, he every time he gets back there, he just fucks it up like it's his actual job to fuck everything up. So I think that I think Georgia's gonna absolutely roll them in front of a home crowd in the Peach Bowl. And yeah, I mean, Oregon's already in a tough spot. They're reloading a coach. They have enough problems, but to throw the gasoline that is Bo Nix onto that fire, I think that Georgia's gonna fuck them up.
All right, that takes us to 7:30. So you viewers and listeners out there will have to hold down the fort for us. At this point, we will be halfway through the first quarter against Utah, just absolutely slammered in the swamp. It's going to be exciting. So we will have no idea what's going on with these games because it's too hard to see the ticker that's all the way across from our seats in the stadium. Anyhow, the first game up at 7:30 will be number 5 Notre Dame, Justice for Notre Dame. I can't believe I said that. At Ohio State. Ohio State giving 17.5. The over/under 58 points. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, this one I think is one of the easiest ones, and it might be one of my locks. I'm contradicting myself. I said I would never, that the Oregon 17.5 and Georgia scares me, but the 17.5 Ohio State and Notre Dame does not scare me. I think Ohio State's going to beat them by 40. I really do. I think Ohio State's a fucking good football team, guys.
Yeah.
Like I and they bring almost everyone back from last year's team. They have, I think, the Heisman favorite because just Bryce Young, I know, won it, but I think Ohio State. I think Bryce Young or CJ CJ Stroud is going to win the Heisman this year because I have Ohio State going 13-0. I have Alabama tripping up one game in the regular season somewhere. If you listened last week, you heard that. I have CJ Stroud winning the Heisman, and I think this is going to be everyone knows how legit he is, but I just think Notre Dame is outmanned significantly. I think Ohio State is the closest thing to the SEC powers of Alabama, Georgia, and A&M of, as far as team talent wise. I think and Notre Dame, if you look, they're good, but they always struggle. If this was Michigan, different story. Notre Dame and Michigan always have similar talent. They're in that same talent range. Ohio State's just on a whole nother level with talent. I think it's just going to be could Notre Dame slow them down a little bit at the start? Maybe, but Ohio State's going to wear on them. The depth's going to show, and I think they could win by 20 or 30. So that's the pick.
Champ, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, somehow we come into another season and Notre Dame is in the top 10 again. For what reason, I really don't know. Last year, I didn't think they were very fucking good last year. They went into Doak and damn near lost at the beginning of the season. People forget about that. And this year they're starting out with Ohio State. I think that Ohio State, they not only have like a Heisman candidate at quarterback, but they're returning a 1,200-yard rusher in Travion Henderson. Excuse me. They have probably the best wide receiver in the country. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. literally there as like their third or fourth guy at wideout. And last year they were a fucking wagon on offense as it is. So I think that Ohio State is gonna absolutely fuck them up. You're right. You're right, Mac. This is one of the best. This is one of the easiest ones of the weekend. Ohio State big.
All right, so then we'll fast forward 24 hours to Sunday at 7:30 p.m. in New Orleans, Louisiana. We have Florida State University taking on Louisiana State University. Oh, God. My family will be over to watch this game on Sunday night, and I hate both of these teams. I hate them even more now that Brian Kelly is the coach at LSU. I don't even know if I actually want to watch this just because I don't care that much, but I will because it's college football and it's fun. Champ, you take us with this one.
Yeah, so this is a tough spot, like you said. I think both these teams are down pretty bad. LSU just the only reason that they're down bad is because of the coaching change, and also they don't really know who their quarterback is as of this recording. Um, but they do have maybe the best defensive line in the country, and they're going to be probably sacking Jordan Travis all afternoon. Jordan Travis, I don't know what people see in him. I keep seeing people defend him on the Twitter app, and he fucking sucks. And he only threw for like 200 yards last week. Um, and I don't think that his running ability is that good. So I think that LSU is going to give them some real issues in the pass rush. Um, that being said, LSU doesn't have a much better situation at quarterback. They don't know. It's between a kid named Jaden Daniels and Garrett. Stop me if you've heard this name before. Nussmeyer.
Jaden Daniels is a transfer from Arizona State. I believe he started at Arizona State. I would be very surprised if it ends up not being him. I have no knowledge of who they're leaning towards, but I couldn't imagine it not being him.
And so let's see. The over under is 51. I like LSU here. It's going to be a home crowd. I think that FSU is. I don't even think that they think that they can win the game. So I think LSU, based on talent alone, even though Brian Kelly's a complete fucking clown, I think LSU is going to probably beat the shit out of them.
Mac Murphy, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is another one of my locks of the week. I am very confident that that Florida State sucks and LSU is just better. And it's only 3 points and it's in New Orleans. I don't. It's neutral site, but that place is gonna be full of Tigers. So I like LSU -3. I think comfortably, to be honest with you. Brian Kelly. We can talk shit about Brian Kelly all we want. He has killed student workers. However,
never wrote Lou Holtz back. Lou Holtz said he wrote him 8 times in 10 years and he never got word back. That's a fucking scumbag move. You always write Lou Holtz back.
Brian Kelly is a scumbag. However, he is a far superior coach than Mike Norvell. However, this win, if FSU were to win this game, would go very far in our extend Mike Norvell forever campaign.
Yes.
However, I don't think an extension. I don't think this is going to be the game that he they ride home about. They'll get their moral victory and say, "Oh, we only lost by 8 and we were competitive." They'll ride that train like they did against Notre Dame last year. But I like LSU to cover relatively easy.
Sounds like it'll be a great night to be a Tiger on Sunday. All right, so we'll roll into the last part of the show with Mac Murphy's parlays. Champ will do his fade on site, or I guess you both have some fade on site picks, and then any other locks that you have. So, Mac, what's your parlay this week?
My parlay this week is the "Oh, say can you see" parlay. So I am picking O teams to cover, and I will tell you the O teams that will cover, and the O say can you see. Parlay.
Oh, say can you see that money rolling into the bank?
Correct. First, I'm going to start off with I like Old Dominion +7 against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech always loses to Old Dominion. I feel like they've lost. They're like 0-8 all time against Old Dominion.
That can't be right. Is that right?
Well, Old Dominion. Let me look it up.
You keep going. Let me look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I'm pretty sure they beat Virginia Tech a couple times or played them close. They're 7.5, or no, just a 7-point dog. I like them to cover that. My next one is Am I right? They beat them, didn't they?
I don't know if this is this is Virginia Tech, Virginia versus Old Dominion. Let's see.
My next one is Oak State minus 21.5 over Central Michigan because fuck Jim McElwain. I like the mullet man of fuck. I'm so far gone today, guys. Mike Gundy, mullet man himself to beat fucking shark humper Jim McElwain.
Is the mullet back? Do we know?
No, I think he cut it. But he's still the mullet man. I mean,
Ooh, yeah.
you know. He might not have cut it. Again, earlier, as I've alluded to, Ohio State minus 17.5, easiest one. It's also one of my locks. 17.5 to beat Notre Dame. And then Ole Miss minus 21.5 against, who are they playing? Let me find them here. Ole Miss, Troy. They are playing the Troy Trojans out in Oxford at Vaught Hemingway Stadium at 4 p.m. on the SEC Network. I like Ole Miss to win by 21.5. A few O teams that you will notice are missing. Oregon, I'm not confident in that one, so don't bet on that O team. And then Oklahoma, 31.5 over UTEP. I just don't. If they could cover, they could. That's one they could win 65-10, and I would be like, yeah, it makes sense. Or if they could be in a dogfight and win by, end up winning by 17 points at the end. I'd be like, yeah, that's about right. And what's his name's first game out there. So I'm staying away from those. But Old Dominion, Oak State, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Osay, can you see the money? That's the parlay.
Just for posterity, Old Dominion and Virginia Tech have played 3 times in history, and Virginia Tech leads the series 2-1. It's not quite as bad as it seems, but I still believe that
33% of the time
might
cover.
Might do what you're saying there. Might cover, yeah. So we'll move into the fade on site picks. Champ Brantley Jr., what's your fade on site pick?
Yeah, so if you're picking along with me, I would say the one game that I have 2 of them that I really don't fucking know. The backyard brawl, I really don't know which way that's going to go. It kind of scares me. It could be any kind of game. It's kind of it's the first one of week 1. West Virginia, who fucking knows? They've been so wishy-washy, and Pitt, after losing basically the guts of their offense, you just don't know what is going to happen. And then my second one, both the Thursday night games. Fade me on those motherfuckers because I'm definitely going to get those shits wrong. I think I had – wait, did I have Purdue? Did I have Purdue or did I take the under? I think I took the under in,
you took the under on that one.
Yeah, but I think I think it's a safe under. I don't know. But those are the 2 that I'm pretty wishy-washy on. But I know we're going to do locks next. And my Goldie lock of the week is Arkansas. I love the Pigs. I think they're gonna have a great year, and I think this is one that they have to get. We alluded to their schedule is very tough, so I think Cincy is one that they absolutely have to beat if they want to have any shot at improving on their 9 wins of last year. So I like I like the Pigs as my lock, but who do you got?
Coach Murphy, how do you feel? What's your fade on site and your lock nest of the monster?
My fade on site are both of my chart picks of underdogs winning outright. As confident as I want to seem in my charts, I picked these before I saw lines. I just was, scrambling them out. So you can fade me on site for the West Virginia to win outright, and then also for, I believe it was, I had 3. I had West Virginia, Rutgers, and Purdue. But I'm confident in the Purdue pick. I'm not confident in West Virginia or Rutgers. As fake or as much as I'll pound my chest if I'm right. I will come back and tell you all that I am a genius and I am the smartest man alive. But I'm a little wishy-washy on those. My locks my locks of the week, I've alluded to LSU -3 over FSU. I'm super confident in LSU, mainly because I'm so unconfident in FSU. Ohio State -17.5. We've already touched on that one. I'm not going to repeat myself. Another lock of the week, I'm just looking at BYU -12 over USF. USF fucking sucks, man.
That's a good one.
And BYU's good. I remember last year, I think I put a lot of money on BYU over USF, and those motherfuckers lost. Or they didn't lose, they just didn't cover. Like, they kept fumbling or doing some stupid shit. They only won by 8. I think I had the same kind of feel as last year. They have a Romney at quarterback last year. I don't know if they still do. But last year,
a wideout, wasn't he?
No, he's the quarter. Oh, wait. They have a Romney at quarterback and at receiver. I don't know. I don't think they've got a law firm and a political action committee on as their quarterbacks and wide receivers. I don't know if they're still there. I'm not looking at their current roster, but I remember last year, I'm looking at the game. They were up 21-0. They were a 24-point favorite. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm a genius. And then they ended up, USF mumbled and stumbled back and only lost by 8. But yeah, I like BYU to win that game because BYU's better. USF fucking sucks. I think they fired Charlie Strong. Was he there last year? Or was no. They had the new coach starting last year. Jeff Scott from Clemson is their coach now at USF, and he was the coach last year. So that's another lock. Put me in BYU -12.5.
All right. Well, there you have it. That concludes college football's Week 1 degenerate advice from Mac Murphy and Champ Bentley Jr. For legal reasons, I am required to remind you that you need to gamble responsibly and to remember that these picks are straight booty. No rational person could believe that these two are experts, and they're unlikely to have a successful weekend picking these games. Anyhow, you're still going to want to tune in next week to see just how much money the boys lost, how many games they got wrong, and to watch them do it all over again. I'm Doug Dickey. So long for now, and go get